To make this rose, I made American buttercream. It's 1 pound of butter and 1 pound of powdered sugar. So I'm gonna show you how I make this. For this tutorial, I will be using the Kotek icing tips. It comes with 36 icing nails, which I'm gonna open it. Also, it comes with 2 couplers and 2 flower nails, and I got 2 piping bags. To make the rose, I'm gonna use a rose tip. Wilton is number 104. The set that I got doesn't have any numbers on it. I'm using a little buttercream to put on my flower nail, and I cut some parchment paper. Gonna stick it, and I'm using just a regular bag with a buttercream, and gonna make my base for my flower. And now I'm using my bag with a piping tip, rose tip, and I'm just gonna make a center first. Then we're gonna make 3 small petals. Now I'm gonna make 3 more, but a little bit bigger this time. So I have 4 petals, and I'm gonna make few more, but I'm making them a little bigger. And this is my rose. I'm gonna put it on a parchment paper and put it in the fridge or in the freezer for a few minutes to harden and put in my cake. Now we're gonna use same tip, same rose tip. Wilton tip is 104, and I'm gonna make a different flower. So the thick part, it's gonna be in the bottom, touching my nail, and the skinniest part gonna be outside. Making just petals on my flower. And now I'm gonna use this tip, just a small circle, to make center of the flower. I like the bright colors, they pop better. Just pipe a few dots. Very simple flower. And I'm gonna do the same. I'm gonna put it in the freezer and let it sit for a few minutes, and after I can take it and put it with my hands on a cake. This looks like a field of flowers. If you need to cover some like small space when you do your cake, you can use a star tip. This is the tip that I used. So this is the tip. Looks like a little star. To use my tip, I just holding my hands straight and just piping little stars. You can pipe directly on your cake, or you can pipe on a paper like I do. And after that, to add a little bit more interest, I'm gonna use just a circle. I'm gonna use some green. Tiny little dots of green in the middle of the flower. Something like this. Also, I like to use a little circle, and I'm using my color green to make a flower bud. I'm just holding and pressing. This is what I have, and I'm using a different color. Now I'm using purple, and it's smaller. I'm gonna put inside in my green and pipe. this is what I have right now. It's like a small flower bud, and I'm gonna use my different green, and I am using a leaf tip, and I'm just gonna go around my flower bud. Just like small leaf looking. To make succulent, I am using rose tip, but instead of using a thin part outside, I'm using a thicker part outside, and it's the same thing as I used to make a rose, but just much thicker. To make my cactus, I'm using a flower nail and parchment paper, but you can do your cactus on a cake. So for my cactus, I'm using a star tip again, and I am pulling off. I'm trying not to make too many wrinkles. The cactuses, they have a bunch of little cactuses on the top, just like this. And for little spikes, I'm just using white buttercream and making tiny little spikes, but it's probably going to be easier to do it when I put my cactus in the freezer. After it's freeze up, it would be easier to do it. Now I got my cactus out of the freezer. It's a little easier for me to pipe. Just trying to make a small dot. I'm not trying to make on each one, just on some of them. And this is how my little cactus look like.